What was your biggest treat yourself regret? I just passed my exams in university, so decided to treat myself to some Ben & Jerry's. I woke up covered in hives, vomiting, and burning up. Apparently I had an unknown allergy. It was the worst week of my life. Was it tree nuts? Same crap, different dessert happened to me. I bought a pair of quad roller skates on a whim, meaning that I did no research. Turns out there is quite a bit of intricacy with skates. I had purchased a pair meant for speed, meant for indoor rinks. My intended use was for outdoor skating. This resulted in falling on my butt a million times outside and having zero control on my newly paved road. After buying softer wheels meant for outdoors. Wow, it's a huge difference. I should have done some research and saved myself a good chunk of money. I regret the spur of the moment purchase, but I am glad that I got the skates and new wheels. Hi, I did the exact same thing. Busted my shoulder. Not bones, just bad muscle pain. I should know better. Thought I've never been on a cruise. I want to go on a cruise now. So booked a 2-week Caribbean cruise in a suite with the wife, who, on arrival, decided she didn't like me anymore and spent 2 weeks avoiding me. So I spent 2 weeks on my own on this bloody ship. We're divorced now. This is why I have never gone on a cruise. I really like my wife. A pair of Louboutins. Not comfortable. The sole wears away incredibly quickly. Heels easily get scraped on grates. I live somewhere with lots of grates. Bought a pair of used snowmobiles for $2,000. Had them for 2 years. First year we both got the flu the 1 week the snowmobile trails were open, so never used them. And second year my wife was pregnant, so we decided to sell them. Ends up one no longer wants to start and the other one runs but now has issues. Ended up selling them for $500. Never once used them besides unloading them from the trailer when we bought them. All you can eat sushi bar. Did the math on how much sushi I had to eat to save money from just buying the rolls individually. I hit my goal, but at what cost? I was trying not to throw up for the whole drive home, and spent the rest of the day in bed clutching my stomach and rethinking my life. I once bought a good quality regulation pool table, 8 feet x 44, with all the accessories for about $4,000. But after moving to a new location, I regretted the purchase because there was no room for it, other than to give up the dining room and replace the dining room chandelier with a billiards light fixture. Bought a telescope, but then I needed a camera to take pics. Then I needed a camera and smaller scope to guide it. Then I needed a better, more expensive mount. Then I needed another camera to help set up the more expensive mount. Then I needed cases and storage for this stuff. And another camera, and a star tracker. Then all of a sudden I have thousands in gear that I've used exactly never because it's freezing and cloudy most of the good viewing season anyways. I know what you mean. My telescope is a little more advanced than just beginner, but it's such a struggle to move, and now that I don't own a backyard there's nowhere to spot from without driving there. I bought a laptop from Razer. Worst decision ever. Already had to send it back to them once. Now it's just out of warranty and having more problems. Never again. Bought a BMW 135i when I already had a perfectly good Nissan 350Z that was paid off. I was young and dumb and had just started making serious money for the first time in my life. So when I looked at that monthly payment I said, this is fine. I can totally make this. Not taking into account all of the other bills that can suddenly crop up. One of the worst decisions I ever made, easily. An acquaintance of mine had a Toyota RAV4 and traded it in for a used BMW X3. Not even a year later the X3 broke and he had to take the bus for a while because he couldn't afford the repair cost. He ended up buying an old Corolla shitbox while the X3 sat in his garage. I haven't heard from him, so I'm not sure what happened later. Getting the Cirrus XM deal, $30 6mo, for my car since when I do drive, it's cross-state, and then forgetting to cancel threatened to cancel, so I got charged $120 for the next 6 months. Call and cancel even after they bill you. You can always get the $30 deal and they will credit you back the prorated difference. I've been calling every 6 months to cancel for years and have never had a problem. Went to Vegas and spent more money than I had intended. Had a blast, but flash forward a month later I had nothing to pay my car payment, and in Florida if you are late 1 month they can repo your car. They did. I spent around £300 on all the Talisman board games and a further £200 on a custom made box to keep them all in. Largely due to COVID. I've played them once. I've been unemployed for over a year now and hadn't bought anything nice for myself in months. While buying groceries, I saw some pomegranates and I decided I deserved a treat. I found the biggest one in the pile, looked great, and bought it. When I cracked that sucker open that night, it was rotten inside, with no sign it had gone bad on the outside. I actually cried, because I felt I had wasted precious money I shouldn't have. If that ever happens again or happened recently enough, what you do is take that sucker right back to the store. They'll let you exchange it. After years of wanting to experiment with my hair, I finally convinced myself that dyeing my long healthy brown hair purple was the best way to treat myself. I was originally given a price of $150 give or take depending on amount of dye used. Anyway, when she was done styling, I was happy and it looked pretty. I got to the counter and the total comes to $500. Now, I'm not a confrontational person. Also, I was young and kind of stupid to not argue with them. So I just paid, left a $50 mandatory gratuity and left. I know. For the next 2 weeks everything that came in contact with my hair was stained purple. Every time I washed my hair it bled purple. My shower was stained. The skin on my back, pillowcase, sheets, the back of my shirts, purple. The worst part was that my long beautiful healthy brown hair was a heaping faded broken pile of straw after those 2 weeks. So I went out and bought a box dye similar to my own color, dyed my hair back and swore off ever dyeing my hair ever again. Got a promotion that meant I would be driving most days to an office after commuting by train for years. Bought myself a Tesla for the new ride. Took delivery on the 14th of March last year. Haven't driven to the office once. Between the down payment and the monthly payments since, I've spent about $7 a mile to own the thing. Then go drive it for fun and decrease your ownership costs per mile. I caught myself, but I was about to buy a 3080 off eBay for about $800. It turns out it was just a picture of it and the goal was to get bots to buy it, but I didn't read the description and almost bought it. Maybe I am a bot. I dropped $1,000 on a gaming PC when I was a sophomore in college. Took out a credit card to put it on that and I overestimated my ability to consistently make more than the minimum payments. Ended up finally paying it off like 2 years later, having paid probably an extra $300 in interest, but learned a valuable lesson, and also had a better PC than all my friends. That's a freaking cheap lesson on credit cards. Add a zero onto that for me when I was an idiot 24-year-old, and I thought I got off easy compared to some of my friends. Bought myself luxurious body gel. I used it one time, got an allergic reaction. My left leg doubled in size because of how swollen it was. It hurt, was stinging as heck, and it was overall a disaster. The bottle was not even 90 milliliters and cost me more than 180 kr. Frick you, company that made this balls. My left leg doubled in size because of how swollen it was. I guess you can skip leg day now. Actually quite recent. I got 2 extra vacation days to be used in December. Couldn't go anywhere, so I figured I'd get a nice hotel room and try a spa day. The spa was not relaxing. The tub wasn't big enough to relax in. The mushrooms I cake into didn't work, and the TV had cable but no streaming or hookups. So for the first time in a decade I had to wait until the next half hour for new stuff to be on. I can't wait to be disappointed by the continental breakfast I said aloud to myself at 10 PM. It was a pre-packaged muffin and 2 yogurts in a brown bag. Continental breakfast should not be advertised as a perk. Those are a straight up negative. My darling boyfriend got into streaming when the pandemic hit and we went into lockdown. He gained a small following speedrunning games. He had some fun. During the height of all this, I thought I'd give it a try. I streamed my Sims builds like once or twice, but for a multitude of reasons just thought it wasn't for me. One of those reasons being I don't know anything about the tech. I just swapped out my laptop for my BF's when I streamed. My boyfriend has an Elgato capture thing. When he saw that I wanted to get into it, he bought me one as well. Crap was not cheap as the world was shut down and everyone and their mother wanted one of these things. I didn't qualify for unemployment and he was making only about 2/3 of his normal paycheck from pandemic relief unemployment, so I was not happy at all. His reasoning was that we can both stream at the same time and do dual streams. He had such good intentions, but for someone who knows so much about the technology and setup, he ought to have known that we combined simply don't have a powerful enough computer to dual stream the way he wanted to. I know he just wanted this to be a fun activity we could both do together, so he treated himself, and me I guess, to a second Elgato. It's never been used. Now we are back to work and he doesn't stream at all, so now we have 2 unused Elgatos. What makes me mad about Elgato C cards is that they don't have their own encoding hardware. They only capture, not to mention no DisplayPort, and therefore no G-Sync FreeSync. My brother posted a picture of a Ninja motorcycle on FB with the caption "Treat yourself." I was surprised because I'm really into motorcycles and I had never heard my brother express any interest whatsoever. Didn't even know he knew how to ride one. Less than a week later he slammed the bike into the back of a UPS truck and broke his shoulder. Bye bye, Ninja. Fortunately, other than the damage to his shoulder, he was fine. Minecraft story mode. Was all excited I won $50 in Halloween raffle, and why the frick did I not research that hot butt garbage first? I was lucky enough to have bought Minecraft when it was just in beta. We're talking the first release of the in-browser version, so every update after has been free. I think it was $15 back then, which was worth it, but I think it had gotten quite expensive now. I bought a used bass amp on eBay. It was a little pricey, but after hundreds of eBay purchases I didn't think anything could go wrong. Amp showed up broken, advertised as working condition. Took it to a shop. Turns out the seller had gutted it and poorly replaced a bunch of the parts with a guitar amp. It was a bass amp, so once I spent money to fix it, it was still unusable. I got into it with the eBay seller and they threatened to come to my house and fight me, all because I wanted to treat myself on a new amp on my birthday. Should have gone straight to eBay since they have buyer protection. I took my 2 best friends to Vegas for my 21st birthday. I paid for almost everything. We stayed for 2 nights. The first night, they got into a fight so bad that I left the hotel room crying, essentially shaming them into pulling their crap back together. Things were still tense, but we got through the night. The next day we went to brunch, and everything was going fine until we got back to the hotel. I started feeling really sick and ended up spending the rest of the day in the room sleeping and taking Tums while they went out for dinner. I think I need a redo, lol. That sucks. Vegas has the potential to be an amazing time, especially with friends. Sounds like your friends really fricked it up for you. Usually the fricking up comes from over gambling and over drinking. Every time I've eaten an entire bag of dried mangoes in a day. They are fairly small bags, but still more fiber than one day's worth, so it all comes out at once the next morning. Bought a ticket to a concert as a birthday present to myself. Got way too drunk and got a DUI and totaled my car. After getting another DUI, I realized I had a problem, got help, and I'm over 3 years sober now. That sucks, but congrats on 3 years. IDK if this would be called a treat yourself matter, but here you go. I was feeling depressed for years now and it was pretty overwhelming. I was very tired and I just wanted everything to stop. With that thought, I literally ran away from my responsibilities that I felt were weighing on me. I did leisure activities such as going to parks and walking while taking photographs with my camera, going on cafes alone, etc. Well, those did not happen without me skipping school. Sure, it was good and all, but now, I had to repeat a new year and had to pay for the compensation fee in our uni. Sad to say, I felt like what I did wasn't worth it at all. I guess it's true when they say you reap what you sow, and what I reaped ain't good. I bought my first new truck. I use the bed a lot and can easily afford it. But if it taught me anything, I do not want to afford it. Feels wasteful now and I could have bought used, been just as happy, and stuck that money into investments. Lesson learned, and I tell myself all the time to just shut up and enjoy it. But never again. Been limiting carbs for a few months. Had some Miss Vicky's New York cheddar chips last night and dang if I wasn't sweating on the toilet for an hour. Had not eaten Burger King in 10 years and last week a buddy at work said he was going. Figured man I miss double whoppers, I want one. Got it. Loved it. Then an hour later I'm eating Pepto and running back and forth to the bathroom. Yeah, there was a reason I didn't eat it for 10 years. A friend of mine hadn't eaten MCDs in about 10 years and ended up eating a bunch the night before a charity bike ride. He ended up stuck in a sweltering porta potty blasting out of his rear end and hasn't touched it since. The amount of time I spent just chilling when I should have been working. Funny thing is, when I look back, I realized I never regretted chilling when I was in those moments. It was always justified. What I do regret is that it was all just a form of procrastination. It became a cornerstone habit which really defined how my life turned out. Now I am here, at age 40, wondering where all the time went, with very little to show for it. Oh, I win this hands down. Every Halloween my friends and I go out to celebrate at an old brewery in our town. They go all out for Halloween with an attached hotel. It's the best place to party for the holiday. The day of the party in 2019 was my last day working before a much needed vacation. I had just started a new position with my company and I was totally burned out. I had to work late that night so I couldn't meet up with my friends until about 3 hours after everyone else was together. By the time I arrived everyone was pretty buzzed and I felt like I needed to catch up. So I shotgunned 3 11% beers and was feeling good. This happened at 10 PM. I wanted to treat myself to a good night after such a long few weeks. Plus I was off the next day so I could recover from the hangover without much trouble. We left the bar at 1:30 AM and took an Uber back to one of my friend's apartment. By that point I had consumed the 3 beers from earlier, plus another 2 11% beers, 2 Long Islands, 1 trash can, 2 tequila shots and a green tea shot, all in roughly 3 hours. Keep in mind I was 29 at the time and still though I could drink like I was 21. I got to their place and crashed on a sofa, still fully coherent. At about 4 AM I woke up with my heart racing. I didn't think much of it and went back to sleep. I woke up at 8 and it was still pounding. I figured I just needed some water and food and it'd be fine. Fast forward to the afternoon and my heart still didn't slow down. I went to the ER and had an EKG done. My resting heart rate was up to 182 BPM. I was admitted and diagnosed with holiday heart. For those unfamiliar, it's essentially an alcohol-induced atrial fibrillation. I had to have my heart shocked back into rhythm and spent my vacation at home wearing a heart monitor. TLDR, I drank too much to celebrate a vacation and had to get my heart restarted. Ah yes. Well, I used to go palpitations often as a teen. One day it went on for 2 hours. Went to my GP, she told me go to A&E. Got seen straight away. Mine was on 205 BPM. Mine was also shocked. 2 failed procedures and I'm on medication for potentially a lifetime. Not fun stuff. $200 10 sonic screwdriver replica prop. It's wonderfully made, but it helped me realize that replica doesn't mean that it works like I thought it would, but that it only looks like the actual show prop. Or $150 tarot cards. Very nice, slick and thick cards that have great art. They look and feel amazing and they have a cool box. But I don't use or read tarot cards. I just thought they looked cool but haven't really done anything with them. Most Apple products. Bought an iPad, so now when I'm bored of scrolling on my phone I can go be bored scrolling on a bigger version of my phone. Thankfully none of my tablets cost me anything, but we only really use them to watch TV in the dining room. Other than that I used to read magazines on them but haven't for quite some time. I have come to the conclusion that tablets are only really good for businesses and I guess entertaining children. I can't think of much more of a practical use. I spent £1,500 on a body transformation program. It worked. By the end of it I was super fit, but right after I had a number of significant personal events happen and got into a depression hole. Putting all the weight back on effectively wasted £1,500. I won't see it like that. You now know how weightless works for you, which foods you can eat and what kind of sports you like. Next time you attempt it, you won't need a transformation program and your results will probably be even better. took a girl I was seeing for a few weeks to an all-inclusive resort in Cancun, Mexico. I had just got my passport and was desperate to use it. We had a great time, but when we got back home she pretty much ended it. I still had a great time and made some great memories. I justify it to myself that I only paid for her plane ticket because I would have paid for the resort no matter what. I went back a few months later with another girl and we had a blast. Still together too. I went back a few months later with another girl and we had a blast. Still together too. Just never, ever, tell her about the previous time you were there. Last night I decided to treat myself to a relaxing bubble bath. Bubbles were great. Water level and temp were super relaxing and I was watching Princess Bride. I was about 10 minutes into my bath when I asked my husband to bring up one of my lavender scented candles. Yes, I know how basic I sound. Lo and behold, he comes rushing into the RR, candle in hand, and tells me to cut the bath short because the bath was causing a water leak to occur downstairs. He then lights the candle and rushes back downstairs. Y'all, I had been thinking of this bath for weeks and finally decided to give myself a break and this happens. I'm sure the leak was inevitable and probably would have occurred at some point, but dang. I love how he took the time to light the candle before rushing off to deal with the crisis. I was manic and went shopping. $4k LASIK surgery, new furniture, new MacBook, bunch of shoes and clothes, trip to Mexico, drugs and alcohol. I kept telling myself you deserve it, treat yourself. Few months later and working on paying it off. I'm trying to fight off the urge to get LASIK eye surgery, but I don't think I'd regret it, as wearing glasses can get annoying, but I am worried that it will be very expensive. I've been clean for 2 weeks. I'm just going to do one bag of H to celebrate. 4 years later I finally got clean again. Bought a £1,200 watch. Felt sick for 2 days as it was a lot of money for me then and wife pushed me to do it. 2 things. Never wear it, and 2. The mechanism is a standard swatch mechanism which I found out to get the battery changed, and they don't change the battery, they change the mechanism. If you are going to buy a quality watch, buy at auction. Half the price for piece of craftsmanship, not a mass-produced miniature clock. I went to a popular restaurant for takeout after a long week of work on a Friday. I paid and waited maybe 30 minutes just sitting there. Very strange because it's really just chicken wings and fries. I asked the person for an update and she went back to the kitchen to check and said it's coming up, which is code for we completely forgot and now the kitchen is pissed that they need to squeeze this into the rest of their tickets. I got the order and opened it up once I got home. It literally looked like someone grabbed a handful of fries and chicken wings by the same hand and tossed it in there. Also missed the dips I wanted to try. $40 in tip for 2 plates of something I could have made at home. F it. The place is Buffalo Wild Wings. Never going there again. $40 taught me to always check my takeout before leaving the store and encouraged me to cook more at home. I make us some great wings now, which are not very hard to make to begin with. I recommend everyone to try it yourselves. Was feeling terrible because of a recent breakup and a few other things. One day I got 1k COVID straight to my bank account, so I decided to go out and get some H. As I had been clean for several months and felt like I could treat myself and temporarily feel a little better. Just this once. Well, it's been months now and I am again trapped in this stupid addiction. Though I am slowly digging myself out. At least I learned that for me when it comes to opioids it's all or nothing. As when I wasn't using it was super easy to stay clean and I never had any cravings, but once I decide to use just once I always go back to daily use eventually. This time it took many months but eventually it always gets to that point. 100% of the time with no exception. Good luck, man. I've lost so many friends to that crap. You've quit before and can do it again. The longer you put it off the worse the withdrawals will be. You got this. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.